Greetings, humans. I'm Andre, and I'm George, and welcome back to the Windmill full of corpses. Another one that's not a suggestion, but it's Slay. Yeah, Slay at home. We are at home. So we haven't watched a lot of COVID live-streamed live performances or such, but there was this Slay at Home festival done by Metal Injection, and Vintersea was a part of it. So we know this band, we know their second album the best, and that's a brilliant album. They're kind of a progressive black metal band, which is not that often seen. I think Isan does that, and I would say Neobliviscaris does a little bit of black merging into prog. But otherwise, there aren't a lot of people who do that.
I would say it's more like progressive melodic post-black.
That's a lot of tags.
Yeah, but it's like, when you think post-black, actually the vibe is already something entirely different than what you think of when you just think black metal.
And so I think this will be 2 songs because it's 10 minutes long. And it should be quite interesting. I also want to say the singer for this band is following on the footsteps of Tatiana from Ginger. Not musically, but in the sense that she's got the same sort of shock factor to anybody who might not know. And this band's really taking off, and I'm super happy for them. Let's go. You ready? No. He's never gonna be ready again. That's the point with a reaction. Go. Okay. Fiery tongue. Did you know this song? I heard it a few times. I get some of the melodies in my head, like I recognize them, but I didn't know the whole song. It's a beautiful thing. It's brutal. This band, man, this band is insane. Okay, I have a lot of things that I want to talk about. And I'm thinking we're gonna talk a bit now, and then maybe more once the song is over, and maybe let the second one go in full.
Yes.
Okay, so what makes this song is the difference between the high, sort of almost choir-like effect on the verses and then the drop in the screams. So that's something that they don't do such accentuating on any other song as far as I know. And compared to the studio version, her singing on this one is a little bit more gritty. So that choiry effect that she's got in the background, you can hear she's got some tracks, that kind of defines how the verses sounds on studio, but this is a little bit more gritty and evil. So yeah, this song really has this sort of infernal burning sort of feel.
Okay.
That about the vocals.
Much love for the drummer.
Yes, I love his drumsticks. They look like carrots.
I did think about that as well. I've seen it in some of the videos. I think it's most visible in Sky Set Ablaze?
Probably, yeah.
I don't know. But this guy is a beast behind the kit. Not only does he pull off some incredible, like, blast beats and pedals, but I love kind of the thunderous effect on toms that he can pull off before planting in one of those blasts. It's like the transitions are really well executed, really fluid, and really, like, just in your face. The whole song seems to have a pretty in-your-face vibe, but no shortage of emotion at the same time.
Yeah.
And that gets us to the guitar leads.
Before the guitar leads, I want to talk about the other guitars, which is that on the verses, I don't know if you noticed, you have this blasting feeling, but it's entirely from the drums. The guitars are keeping more of a, like, chord harmony going on, and they're not really going
fast. They do that a lot, actually, Vintersea.
Yeah.
I think they also had that a lot going on Befallen.
Yes, they rely on a lot of the blasting drums to keep this drilling energy in the song, and then the guitars can build beautiful harmonies, although gritty and evil. So that's that. And then it does some muted sort of moving stuff through the scream part too, which is really cool when the drums get groovy. And then you got the leads.
Yeah. And man, those leads, I don't know if I should call it exactly a solo, but I don't know, it adds a, like, I think without those leads, the song would be, well, still pretty emotional and raw and cathartic in its energy and primarily brutal, but I think it gives it more of a surreal twist, almost cerebral in some sense. I don't, like the atmosphere you get in these weird sci-fi tech death bands, for example. It gives me that. So,
well, yeah. Okay, I think they do have a bit of a sci-fi concept, and I knew that a while back, but I don't know it that well anymore. What I also wanted to say about the solo is that you got vocals on top of it, and I've seen other reaction channels do reactions and say, why are you putting vocals on top of the solo? I want to hear the solo. Or why are there leads under the vocals? I want to hear the vocals clearly on my own. And I'm like, that's bullshit. The way this band layers stuff together is part of what makes them work so well, because black metal is usually this just one driven field of energy moving forward, and they do that, and then they have more swirling melodies and stuff fused into it, and it works together, and we're prog heads, so we're used to reading into layers and stuff like that, so yeah.
You're not allowed to complain to Vintersea.
No, you're not. I know how this song ends, and in case you don't remember that, it's gonna be brutal. And then we're gonna take another pause and go all the way till the end.
Give me the dirt! They're gonna to be fallen. Okay.
I thought the second one would have been old ones, but yeah.
I know be fallen, but let's not get into it yet. Okay. I like her!
Oh. What I wanted to say is, what's really cool here, and probably why we've got such a good sound, is they're playing together and then she's alone in the vocal booth. So you don't get any of the feedback from drums and stuff into her mic. I think that's why they do that. And we get this really good amazing sound. And my main gripe with their first album, other than the fact that it was 75 minutes long and it's hard to keep such a long album interesting, was that the sound wasn't that good. And that's exactly what they fixed with Illuminated, with the second album. And what we hear that they actually pulled off live, slaying at home, or in the studio in this case.
This must be the best clean and harsh vocal delivery I've seen in at least since 2021 started. Like, I like this more than Orbit Culture vocals at this point.
Yeah, I mean, Orbit Culture are a completely different animal,
but they're still an animal, and this is gonna sound wrong, but she's definitely an animal. Okay, so she's got so many textures in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, on the first half, before we paused, it was more of that just clean singing that sounded really good, really cool choice of melodies. Really high, yeah, like pretty impressive range. And it really got to me, but for that part I was pretty impressed with the growls. It was kind of overshadowing the cleans for me. And what I like about the growls is just how many textures she reaches,
mm-hmm.
And how many emotions, because growl is most of the time aggressive, but especially also getting to see her facial expressions. A lot of the times I'm getting with growls, you can also express stuff like fear or pain or stuff like that. And what she does here, if I'm to compare the sound with her facial expressions, it's almost like she's bringing forth some empathy towards that in the screams, or at least that's how I'm feeling. It's like so expressive. And then that chanting part at the end, when it first kicked, I was thinking this sounds a lot like the tones Tatiana used in the really high-pitched clean part at the end of Pisces. And as she kept it going, I thought, no, that it's actually what would happen if Tatiana took that thing and turned it into an Oriental chant.
It's not just Oriental, I get a really infernal feeling from this song, like it's sucking you down into hell. And
it's making me too happy to see it that way.
What I wanted to say about that part before we hopefully go on, because we've been talking a lot, is that that part on the studio is actually also with layers and choirs, so that's what also gives it that sort of infernal feeling. And I think
can see that.
I say choirs, but it's all her, I think, layers, you know? So layers, lots of layers, we like that in prog. And
let's fall.
Let's be fallen. I have a few more stuff to say about the vocals, but I'll leave it at the end.
done, terminated, befallen.
Yeah. I have so many things to say, so this is gonna be another very long video. Yeah. They've done their most black metal songs from Illuminated in this performance. So this, if you didn't know this band and now you're like, what? They can do more. They can do a lot more. They can do a lot of prog stuff too.
And a lot of melodic stuff. Check out the title track, Illuminated. That's a beauty.
Yeah. That's probably, looking at this, I could tell, it's nice to see Avian actually singing, because in the videos, I'm guessing she's lip syncing in the official videos, because you don't see all the facial expressions and neck moving and her posture. I also like that she wasn't shot like dead straight from the front, because whenever vocalists are feeling like that, it looks like they're just mouthing away at you and they're arguing with you, and that's a little awkward. So the fact that it was a little bit from the side, apart from getting rid of all the awkwardness, actually allows you to see a bit of her posture and how she's doing the vocals and her expressions too.
It's like you see the expression, not only what you hear, but you see it on her face, and then I feel like you can also, I feel like you can almost see the technique in her body, in the way she moves, in the way she stays there. Like you can, you can see that she's not just screaming away. You can see the control, the focus.
Yeah, well, I think this whole performance is very much in control, because they're all really focused, and the sound is definitely very well done, and they're sitting and playing like people in the 50s, so that's like, we cannot do anything wrong, and they didn't, by the way. Why I was bringing all that is because, well, other than the fact that if you were to pause and look at Avian at some point, other than the fact that that would be a photo that you can hear, it I think, makes the emotional baggage of the songs come forward harder. And that's something that when you're just listening and maybe you're caught up by the blast and all the black metal stuff, it can seem like their stuff sounds a little flat. But when you, because that's what black metal is, okay? So
the angry wasp.
That was really cool. And now that you mentioned Illuminated, there's actually lyrics on that I really relate to. So this band has done stuff to me that I don't really understand. Okay. So a couple of more things so that I end up with the vocals is, you can see when she's doing some of the really low screams, the shape of her mouth is like really closed, and that
I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah, so Ben Doer of Shadow of Intent calls his screaming technique butthole screams. That's what butthole screams look like.
Do you know why they're called butthole screams? It's because you're supposed to shape your mouth like an anus. That's literally why he calls them butthole screams, but it actually is what gets the sound through, the really low sound.
Yeah, that's weird.
And she's actually, makes sense.
She's actually doing that a bit more here. I mean, I don't know if she's actually using butthole screams. I don't think that's actually a technique. It's just how that retarded maniac made it. So, no offense, we mean retarded maniac in a good way.
Yeah.
But she's doing that even more because she's moving into that like filth screaming territory of really brutal death metal stuff where you actually don't distinguish the words anymore. And on some of the really low stuff, and that's not happening on the studio. On the studio, you can always sort of hear the words through the screaming, which is really impressive. But she kind of changed it a bit here, which was really cool. And one more thing just to end with Avian is that back in Fiery Tongue, when we had that long break before the final chorus, nothing does a sinister build up like being a goofball. This is the world's most badass goofball. And with that, my Avian rant is over, and I have lots of things to say about the instrumental, so do your thing.
This band is really serious in some sense. It's serious in how well they do everything, and it's serious in what their music expresses, but they are the most precious goofballs when it comes to having fun. And I think you can see both those things in this performance because it's so well put together. It leaves you mesmerized. But yeah, at the same time, it's just so much fun. Yeah, I'm so happy looking at it. It just pumps me up. I feel, and especially to see someone having such a good time while expressing so much rage, it makes me feel understood. because, and that's actually a big thing with the metal community, and why it's so much of a community is because we express things that people who aren't into metal perceive as aggressive or dangerous or wrong, like screaming and being angry. But as we can clearly see, it's a beautiful thing. Okay, and it makes me happy. I would say the emotions I'm getting when I see her perform is happy anger.
Okay, I can relate to that. I can subscribe to that, definitely. Shall we move on to the instrumental?
Yes.
Okay, what I wanted to say about the lead guitars, which also happened in Fiery Tongue, is that he's relying a lot on leads on like gradually moving up and then gradually moving down. He's not doing scales or anything.
Those are arpeggios.
I think it's arpeggiating. There was a little bit of sweeping too, but not like fast, shreddy sweeping, just sort of giving it this really cool flow. Jorma has some of the most beautifully flowing solos I've ever seen. And that's also one of the cool contrasts with the sort of flat, blackened feel. It's like you get this raging monster that does this flat scream. I'm not talking about Avian, I'm talking about the instruments. And then there's this other side to it. It's like the Beauty and the Beast forged into one spine that the music has. So that's really cool. And then one thing that I also noticed before is that when there's no solos and they're both doing harmonies, both doing chords, you can tell them apart. I think you could hear the guitars apart actually better here than on the studio versions. And you can tell they're not doing the same thing. There was one part where the melody with the bass and Riley, the rhythm guitarist, were moving down and Jorma was moving up at the same time. So there's stuff like that are really cool. They build really rich harmonies like that. And it's cool because it's still black metal because you're drilling onto one of those chords for a long time and then you're drilling onto another, but because they're doing different things at the same time, they can build harmonies that move in this sort of structured fashion really well. Not that much to say about the drums here because it's just a whole lot of blasting. I think we both like the ting.
Yes, and the transitions coming along with the ting. Like, I think those are some particularly epic drum moments on this song.
Yeah.
But they're actually my favorite moments in the studio version, and they're also really well spotted in the official video of the song. You should totally check out that video.
Okay, so we've been talking for a while. Probably time to wrap it up. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this reaction, we greatly appreciate the likes and shares. And if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe with bells on. Thank you very much for stopping by. We hope you enjoyed your stay, and we'd love to see you back at the Windmill very soon. Corpse is out.